Hey everybody, welcome to Late 19. I'm your host Naka. Today we're going to be talking about vulnerability amongst men. So I have all these men around me, and they're going to tell us how they feel. I'm going to start with the first question that I have for you guys, which will bring us to exactly why we're here to talk about the art of vulnerability, right? So, in 2016, 21 men out of 100,000 took their own lives, compared to 6 out of 100,000 women that died that year because of suicide. So I want to know from each one of you, what do those numbers mean?
Maybe because they take 100,000 people and over time, 6 of them killed themselves, or they said in the city of Plymouth, for example, we have 100,000 people, and this year we've had 6 men who were killed. I mean, 6 women who killed
So
themselves. How did they?
So the demographic was from, they looked at the United States, they looked at each state, and they looked at the comparison when it came to women killing themselves. I think what happens is that men actually achieve it because they're more brutal. So a man who shoots himself in the head versus a woman who takes some pills. So you have more chances of surviving if you take some pills versus if you. Right. So that was where the ratio came from. It came from each state and how many men have died, and the cause of death was suicide. And they came up with these numbers. And a lot of these men did not come out and say they had any mental health issues. They just killed themselves. So, with that being said, right, it speaks a lot to like how men express themselves when it comes to how they're really doing. When your friend asks you how are you, do you really tell them how you really are?
Depends on the friend. Depends on my relationship.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable talking to your male friend about?
It really depends on how comfortable I am. Like if I consider you a good friend, yeah, definitely. I've had some in-depth conversations with my friends.
Okay. Can you ever?
But I should say disclaimer: I'm a pretty expressive person, so that might factor into my personality. You know.
Okay. What does vulnerability mean to you?
When you're vulnerable, when you're not, you're at risk of danger, at high risk of danger.
I think he's on the right line.
Let me hear it.
Let me tell you why. Mm-hmm. So, when I think of vulnerability and the levels of it, I think of exposure. How exposed you expose yourself to whatever the case may be.
I agree.
So the more you expose yourself to something, the more dangerous whatever that something is becomes to you. For example, let's say Etty is a friend of mine, right? And the more information I give him about myself, the more ammunition I'm giving him to kill. Or I'm exposing myself more to him, so he has more power, not even necessarily power, but ammo to come at me in my life. So if I said anything about him wrong, or I went and started talking behind his back, he could go on the internet and just spill all this nonsense about me. That's true because of something I told him. Versus if I just tell him the basics as everyone else, there's no way he could hurt my feelings.
So it's a lack of trust in the human being.
No, it's exposure. It's a level of exposure.
But you just said to me that if you expose yourself, right, you don't know where he's going to take that information.
Okay, so now you're taking a piece of what I said. I said if I expose myself to him, he becomes more dangerous with the information I arm him with.
Exactly. And I've understood that.
But that has nothing to do with the trust.
Okay. I feel like I don't know about that.
I think it does have.
I think it has a lot to do with trust.
Because it has to do with the perception that you feel like you could possibly get back to do that.
But that comes after the fact. Right. Now, if I tell you two, I have a different relationship with you two, but I give you two the same amount of information, you're both just as powerful or have more ammunition against me. Has nothing to do with my relationship or the trust level I have with X or Y.
I don't know.
No, the point is, you would, if we just met today, you wouldn't tell me that information as you would share because you don't know me.
Correct.
So you don't trust me.
Right.
So you would tell me that.
That makes you vulnerable. So
right. That would make
trust.
you vulnerable. You would reveal that information if you had a period of time with someone else and you build a relationship when you know that, okay, he's not going to, he doesn't have the high potential of just going back and telling them.
Then I think everyone we meet, we're vulnerable to them. There's a level of vulnerability to everyone. I've met him today. And I've told him 1, 2 things about me that he did not know about me.
Right.
But when he leaves, so he's
becoming more acquainted with you.
I'm going to go around telling about you.
So, based off of the fact that you said it's not a lack of trust, I'm going to go off of
it's not necessarily a lack of trust. I don't want to fully eliminate it.
Okay.
But I don't want it to be part of the
narrative.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to go based off of what you said. I disagree with that, but I'm going to go based off what you said. So if it's a lack of, it's not a lack of trust. So if it's just you just saying, oh, I'm going to share this with this person and this with this person, but I'm not going to put you in a position to where I feel that whatever information is given can be basically used against me, right? At what point do you stop feeling that way? Because if it's not a lack of trust, what is it? So at what point are you like, oh, you know what? Now I'm going to, because today you met him, right?
Yes.
And you shared whatever you shared with him. And you did that because you were comfortable enough to share 1 or 2 things, right?
Because I have no reason for it
not to be comfortable.
Right.
Okay. So, but I'm just saying, at what point, if you're not basing it off of trust, based off of your narrative, at what point are you like, I'm going to start exposing self?
So, okay, the information I may share to someone is information that I think he is interested in knowing. So, with that said, there's a lot of things about me, and so you, etc., etc. But you won't share that in the first day. Why not? Because you don't think I'm going to need this information. It's not information that is necessary or that we've trained ourselves we need to share when we first meet.
But why have we trained ourselves not to share that information when we first meet?
It's in terms of appropriateness.
Okay.
I think
so.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to
say. So you're saying
another aspect of that too is being raised as a man. We're taught a certain kind of way where you shouldn't be vulnerable, where you're brought up. You don't have feelings. You have emotions. You got to be a man. Like no one ever defines what a man is, but like be a man, and you don't show emotion.
Exactly.
You don't make yourself vulnerable. You have a hunter mentality where it's like, okay, you don't give anybody any reason or any vulnerability to show that you need them.
Exactly.
So I think part of that plays into it.
So if you don't, so as men, if you're always in this hunter mentality, you're always in this space of not sharing, who do you speak to when you do have a mental breakdown? When you are at the break of, because that happens, we're human at the end of the day.
Right.
As men, yes, you have been you've been socially constructed to not feel, right? Emotionless. But you're also first human, right? So things happen, and your heart,
like the
suicide rate,
right.
But things happen. So at what point are you like, oh, you know what? I really feel some type of way today, so I'm gonna call this person. Who do you confide in at that point?
So to start out with, the reason why I actually asked for the age group when you said the suicide rate, Lil Duval, if you actually follow his Instagram page, they cracked the joke that if you see a guy over 30, take it easy on him, because at that point, men have usually reached the peak of where they will achieve in life, and if you don't feel like you've achieved what you should achieve, nobody gives a fuck about you. So essentially what you realize, another joke that Chris Rock said that, only women, children, and animals are loved unconditionally. Men are loved based on what they can provide. So if you reach the age, if you reach the peak of your life and you feel like you're not shit and no one listens to you, I can see a lot of people actually commit suicide.
So do you feel like you're not loved unconditionally?
Me? Oh, people love me.
Do you think that if you didn't make as much money as you made, or if you didn't have the job you have, because the job that you have is something that people would be like, oh, he has, if a woman was to look at you, she'd be like, oh, he has this and this, it wouldn't be like, oh, he's not shit. So do you think it's because of where you are socially, your social stance right now in life, why you feel like, oh, I think I'm unconditionally loved?
I think it plays a part in it. Whatever society values plays a part in how you feel and how you value yourself.
Question. So do you define self when you think like somebody like who are you? Do you define self based off of that? Because if you're most filled when you reach that point in life, so like where does the definition of yourself? How do you define yourself? What adjective do you use? Do you define yourself based off of your most inner self, which is however whatever characteristics your soul, right? Or do you define yourself based off of this pivotal point in life that you reached, and now it's like I'm self-made? Now,
I mean, what is that? What you bring yourself to be? That's what you describe yourself as. What you work towards yourself being.
so you describe yourself based off of external factors.
Not external factors, because you need that internal factor to get there. So it's like who you're becoming. It's who you describe yourself as. Even if it is career-wise and you are focusing on that career, that's who you're bringing yourself to be. Bringing yourself to be that's what you're going to describe yourself as. And once you've reached that goal, that's what you're going to tell everyone. That's what
Okay.
In addition to that, I think we find ourselves based on the person we are becoming through the process.
Through the process.
Yes, through the process, not necessarily after achieving.
through the process.
And I also think
Process
it's not only internal, it is external. Because when you achieve that process, human nature is you want the next person to notice that you have that
Okay, but
process. Because if you achieve that process in a vacuum, you don't mean shit.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but when I think of true self, I think of all the internal factors. I don't think of
True
anything
self.
that's outside of me. Like, so everything that's
Everything external.
and I think I do agree to that, but I think that when you remove the fact that vulnerability is when you're true self, I think that you're making these tools outside of you define you, and they don't. And I think that the reason why they define you is because you haven't come to a real space in life where you're really connected with your inner self. I think through the process, you are trying to figure out who self is, right? You're going through this thing of like, okay, what's really inside of me, okay? And I agree with that. But I think when you come and you define my job, or you define all these external things, and you come and you say, that's who I am, you're not looking at it the right way. I think you need to dig deeper, right?
What you're explaining, men don't go find that. We might stumble on that by accident. I think I end up experiencing what you're saying in the sense when I went through a bad breakup. I think every guy has
only in pain.
Yeah, every guy has this instance where they have the one chick that they never forget that really fucks them up.
So do you ever feel like that again?
No, it's never again. It's not, because inherently when guys feel that pain, like we don't open up.
Ever again.
90% of guys will never open up to that point where you feel that kind of pain.
So
But we don't go out seeking that kind of pain.
Because I believe there's a flaw in the statement that we are carrying on that I think you kind of made it as a blanket understanding that vulnerability or men don't feel. I think that we may not express it the way women are more in tune with their feelings. How do we measure that? Because they express it more and more often. We still feel it, but maybe we choose to be quiet. But maybe we choose to handle it in a different way. But that doesn't mean we're not in tune with that feeling.
No. When I say not in tune, I mean if a woman sits here today and say I'm sad, she figures out why she's sad. If a guy sits here and realizes that I'm sad, then let's go get some drinks.
That goes back to that.
Like you're not dealing with it. You're not in tune with it, understanding. Or like if you go to work and you snap at work, you're never gonna sit back and say, okay, what brought me to this point? You don't. But women were like, okay, you know what? My day started out great. I talked to my mother. She didn't say hi to me. And I knew it was off. There's a retroactive look back on how she got there. Guys are just like, that nigga said fuck me and I whooped his ass. And we moved on. You know, you don't step back and you're not in tune on how you got to that point. So we're taught that, you know, whatever you see at that point, you deal with it and you move forward.
So you deal with everything in the moment.
Right. You're sort of in the moment.
But are you really dealing with it?
You're really not, because you're reacting. And at that point when you're reacting, it's a fight or flight instinct.
So you're more survival.
You're more at that point. It's like, am I fighting a lion? And then, you know, am I gonna run? Am I gonna fight this lion?
I don't really think it's been women are more into, you know, guys are not, or trying to think about who they're fighting with and stuff like that. I just feel like everyone has the way they handle their own shit. Right? You get my point? Because if I have like a bad breakup and shit, my bro, trust me, 2 days I'm good.
Are you really good?
I swear to you, I'm good.
How do you know?
Like, okay, the worst breakup I've had in recent years, like 3 years ago, maybe. It was so bad. Like, yo, when you think, okay, this shit is like the forever moment, and then she just goes over and blah blah blah, and think of okay, after begging day 1, okay, day 2, bitch back.
I don't think.
Legit. Like, yo, listen.
I don't think you get it for like.
No, listen. Wait, I don't rely too much on the past or what's gonna bring it down.
After that week, did you look at her Facebook page?
Yeah. No, that's the truth.
You ever had a bad breakup?
My personality, like, I don't like dwelling too much on the past. Like, okay, let's just fucking move on.
Nobody does, but you were still sad.
Yeah,
I was sad.
Okay,
but for the
you
shortest
didn't move
moment.
on. So you didn't move on then.
For the shortest moment, though.
So you're telling me after
The way you made it sound like 2-3 months. I was like, damn, like ever, bro. Why you calling me up?
Do you still have any type of ill feeling towards her? So if you saw her in the streets right now, you'd be like, hey, how you doing?
Listen, that's one, like I said, it's personality wise right now. That's one thing about me. All my essays, I think keep in control of them.
So, okay, after the week. So, my next question, right? How do you feel about society and women? Do you feel like women have given you guys a safe space for you guys to show how you feel? Or do you think that they ask for it, as soon as you give it, they're like, no, too much? And do you think society as a whole gives you a safe space for you to be like, yo, I'm really hurt? Or do you think that the social construction of I'm a strong, even being a black man, I think, is a whole other issue? Like, how do you feel?
Okay, so I definitely don't think society has made it easier for guys to show emotions. But back to the original question of, do we feel like women give us a safer space to feel more vulnerable? This is just my personal opinion, and I will say yes, because just thinking back to women do give us a safe space to let our vulnerability show. Because thinking back, to one of my breakups, she was the one who I was dealing with some stuff. I was post graduation, did not have my work permit, so living off my credit cards, like paying employment. And I was just going through a really hard time during that period. And I lived in a 1-bedroom by myself in Richfield. I just shut the world out, and she was the only one who I felt comfortable and safe, like opening up to and telling her that. Actually, another person was, and he was a male. Oddly enough, this guy right here.
I was just gonna go back to what you were saying. So I was just talking with him from this conversation. The vulnerability is directly related to the trust level you have with the person, because that person, I'm pretty sure you had very high trust level.
Yes, definitely.
So
I agree. I agree with that point altogether. That for me, I think vulnerability has to do with trust a lot, because I'm not gonna. Yeah, I agree with your point too about you don't really need to give this person that information. But for me, the reason, maybe it's not always salient in my mind that I'm not giving you this information because I don't want to be vulnerable. But when I think about the just general idea behind it, I think that really is it. Because if someone random walks into my apartment, for example, I don't know this person. Why are you here? Who are you? And even if you came with a friend, I don't really want to show off too much of who I am because I don't know, I don't trust this person.
Right.
Really. So for me, it directly relates to trust.
Right. Do you feel like society gives you a free space, a safe space for you to be vulnerable?
I don't think society allows you to, not because they consciously do. I think as a community, let's just say even just men, emotionally, intelligence-wise, we don't understand it. So like, if I came to my nigga like, hey, I was snot nose crying, this nigga accused me. Like, why you bitch ass white?
Exactly.
See that?
So,
I know what you're saying.
It doesn't allow me because he doesn't understand that.
yeah,
We're usually not on the same wavelength when it comes to that shit. Like girls, you cry. Let's have a girls' night out. Yeah, have ice cream. You gotta talk that shit. Somebody cries. Everybody hugs each other. It doesn't happen like that.
We have a different dynamic. I think the society. Let me just put a different dynamic for the sake of it. I think the society allows it for this reason. They allow it, but what they do with that information is out of our hands. So I'm kind of separating those two things. Does the society allow you to be vulnerable? Yes, you can be vulnerable all you want, but you would not basically dictate what they do with that information. A platform we do this with all the time, when people do it, is social media.
Right.
You find a lot of information about people that you necessarily wouldn't even have a conversation with the person right next to you through social media. So that means in society, who's exposed, especially if your account is not private, is exposed to your vulnerable situation at that point. Now, it may not be the physical piece or the part where he goes to the friend and tells the friend X, Y, Z, but someone puts a post, and then boom, comments left, right, depending on how famous you are.
But okay, so you're saying that social media is a platform that we use, right?
Social media, yes.
Okay, and then it basically gives people accessibility to you. So now everybody can see everything.
Yeah.
But also, what do you put on your social media page? Are you putting the fact that today I just broke up with my girl and I'm really sad about it and I thought that was the love of my life?
Yes.
I'm
not putting that, but I've seen that.
You've seen
in
it.
social media.
You've
Yes.
seen it from
From a
men
guy.
that
From
are
a man, yes.
okay.
I'll be honest. As soon as when I read his post, I couldn't even joke about it. It was too open. No, I'm being honest. Like, though, to the point, if I joked about it,
laughed a little bit.
though, I was feeling sorry for him.
Okay.
Because it got to a point like, dog, this is not even funny anymore. Like, I'm feeling your pain, and I'm just reading this.
So what did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
I was like, you good? Yes. Kept it moving. Now, that may not be the best way to, but him and I are not that close. But remember, this is social media. So it doesn't matter. I have X amount of friends in my social media, and maybe just a very small percentage of those I actually, this is on camera, I can't say I actually care about. But it's the truth, man. It's the truth. It's a small percentage that you would even consider people you really care about.
Right.
Other ones just for entertainment purposes.
So would you feel comfortable putting that on social media?
I wouldn't, but that person did.
Okay, but why wouldn't you do that?
I think, why do we gotta expose everything that happens on social media?
I didn't say you have to, but if
So why
you
you
say
doing that?
I'm using what he said as an example. He said that we have a platform now in our day and age, which is social media, which is a platform, and we have that platform, and people have this accessibility to us that we didn't have before. So I'm asking that based off of the description of this man said all this and this, and we reached out to him, would he do the same?
No, that's simple.
But why wouldn't you?
You should, but that goes back to his point. People express themselves
Differently.
Yeah, they ask
Okay,
for
so
that
how do
kind
you
of.
express yourself?
How would I do that?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll
how
talk
do
to
you
somebody
express
close to me.
Close to you,
Right.
So you try.
Right.
somebody who you trust.
Oh, that's where we're going. Definitely. But that does not dismiss what he did, though.
Right.
That's what I would do, but that doesn't dismiss what he did. And he still represents men.
I
A
understand.
chunk
Okay.
of men.
There's always
He does represent men, but he represents men in a misguided way. Social media today is on steroids. There's some shit that should never happen. I don't think social media is where you should be coming out and saying I have a problem because it gets lost in the masses. Like I'm gonna call, like, do you hear that nigga say that shit?
He's straight out on the show,
Hey,
bro.
I'm waiting for that. You know? But
I'm not even gonna snap.
that's what you
I mean,
should.
that's how it is.
That's what you
society
should
we
do.
live
Go to someone in your circle, someone you trust, and say, "I actually have a problem."
But imagine.
But is it
so we
because
don't
that
know.
you've been taught that we keep the most ugliest parts of ourselves private? That's what we've been taught all our lives. And we always show our joy. So I'm saying that you have been taught to always keep the ugliest parts of yourself hidden.
But
Because
that's men and women, though.
I agree.
That's human. Okay.
I agree with that. That's my point. My point is that that's why you wouldn't do that because we always show our joys on social media. We show our best life, right? So I feel like social media, you are right. We do go too far, but the reason
Under what circumstances? Hold on, I'm still stuck on this area. I mean, that we're going too far on social media. Just because I wouldn't do it doesn't mean the means that gentleman chose was incorrect. Because maybe he found the help he needed when he did
he
that.
probably did.
He did.
He probably
So
did.
we can't really say that he did too much or he's misrepresenting men.
I don't know.
I think in essence you're right. Like right now, I can't say he was right or wrong.
Yeah.
But 5 years from now, we could say, okay, you probably shouldn't have done that shit. or yeah, retrospect is 2020. You can look back and say, okay, you should have. I was tripping. But like for me personally, where I moved, I wouldn't expose myself like that on social media.
Right.
I would tell someone in my circle that.
Yeah.
I think that I'll get a better feedback because not only do these people already know me, I don't have to deal with someone else trying to figure out who's never met me, like where my head is at. They don't even know me to help me at that point. So now I'm already getting. The more information you get back doesn't help you. It's some flaw that we think that the more information we have, no, it actually paralyzes you. Yeah. It doesn't help you move further anymore. So like now you got 10,000 people telling you, "Oh, nigga, this is how you should feel."
One thing that's important though is that because your question right was does society make it more easier for us to be vulnerable, right? Using that social media example, in a sense, it kind of does because why would this guy tell that to a bunch of random people? Because society has made him feel more comfortable to do that via social media. You're sharing behind the computer. You're not necessarily scared of the backlash. I wasn't thinking that before, but with this social media example, society does make it easier for men to act more vulnerable.
My question to all of you is, it's sexually related. Okay? You don't have to talk about personal experiences, but when it comes to masking, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of mask on. Like I feel like you've talked a lot about like really not really going deep. Like you kind of surface level with a lot of people that you meet, right? First meet somebody, you don't really go deeper than. But when you are in this space of emotional emptiness, right? Do you believe that men use sex as a way to fill that void? So do you feel like when you're dissatisfied with life, you find satisfaction and you look for that satisfaction sexually?
I don't think so.
I've never heard that.
I definitely, I'll be the first.
Where did you get his nonsense from?
For me, it's a hell no because sex is just a physical thing. It feels good, bro. Like that's really for me, at least. That's really it. So if I'm having sex with a girl, it's not to deflect, or if I'm hurt or whatever and I go have sex with someone, it's not a direct relation. It's just I just want to get laid, bro. Like it feels good.
Do you think that you just haven't made that conscious awareness that the two relate?
I don't think I have made the conscious awareness that to me the two don't relate because I would be down for a polygamous relationship. Like
You would be down.
I would be. I kind of consider myself as non-monogamous, and I'm like that's something I recently.
I think every nigga considers himself.
But like for me, dudes will never say that straight up. Like I'll just any new girl I meet or whatever, I tell them straight up, I'm non-monogamous. Take it how you want it.
You don't. That's another conversation. If I think that. Yeah.
And also for me, like I just like I don't really hide my feelings with sex. To me, sex is just a sense of feelings. It feels good. It's like walking, diving.
So okay, I'm gonna get back to that one. I want to ask you.
Why you gotta put together?
But my question to you is, okay, when you are emotionally empty, what fills that void? So if it's not, so the sex part of it?
Yeah.
Sex is a part of it. So when you're like, oh, I feel some type of way, you try to find the next girl to.
That is part of it.
For me,
Some men do use that as
Some men.
some focus on career goals
Yeah.
or productivity.
The point is you need a distraction, and then whatever your vice is at that point is what you use. And sex is what you use as a
Do you
vice.
need a distraction?
Yeah.
Why do you need a distraction?
Why do you want to focus all your mind on the same shit that hurt you?
Yes, exactly.
You ask yourself that point.
Exactly. Because you deal with the emotions, you're aware that, oh, I'm hurt because of this. That's me. I trace back what happened. I'm still gonna distract myself because it doesn't help to just focus if you can't solve the problem.
Right.
You're a man. So the question has that assumption in it. That men don't deal with
I
that
agree.
problem.
And I'm asking that question from a man's perspective, where it's like, I don't know what I know until I realize that I don't know it. Or
No, but then she would say you do know you have that problem because you're finding distractions to hide that problem.
Distractions only last a while.
Here's the thing.
Right.
And
I'm
to prolong the
I'm
problem.
distracting
Exactly.
I'm distracting myself from reality. I know that.
So when
It's
do you
always gonna
face
be
it?
reality.
That's my point.
And I know it's like you asking me why
Okay,
people
this is my thing.
alcoholics.
I don't. Okay, this is what I'm saying to you.
Because
I
some
don't
people probably
think you're right.
started in their life
Here's the
that caused them to
Here's the
drink
thing.
it that much.
Most people who are addicts or alcoholics, they know they're alcoholics. They know that alcohol has ruined my life.
It's a distraction for them.
So have you ever looked at them and say like, why don't you stop? It's just like I can't stop. So at that point, you not only you realize mentally that I'm not incapable of doing this, you build a habit of like, if I even start getting nervous, fuck it, I need a shot.
To get distracted
Right.
from it.
So you already know that. My point is like, just the mere knowing that, I don't think it's even conscious. I think you have to get to a point where like rock bottom.
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about psychologically. How are you? So I do agree. Okay, he's right. I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that women deal with their problems. I think women are more vocal about it. So I feel like if I'm not saying that we do, but it's better for you to know that I think that you may cheat on me than for you to be quiet and go cheat on me, but you think I'm going to cheat on you. My point is that, right? If I'm more vocal about it, so I come to you and I'm like, yo, my ex-boyfriend did this and this, right? You're now aware of my trust issues, right? So you probably know how to move a little better. But if you haven't even consciously come to the term that your last relationship did this to you, and then you've just put this statement on me, like, because she's a woman, now I'm not going to open up, right? I'm not going to even go there with her because I feel like men have this thing of like, you have to build this, they feel like you have to gain their trust. Like, as a woman, you have to prove yourself versus it's a joint thing. But we're not even going to get into that. But instead of you being like, you're a new human being, this is a new experience, I'm going to treat you as that. Because of your past trauma, you said you distracted yourself, right? Right. Because you didn't deal with your past trauma, you've now just because I'm a different name, but I'm still the same person. So I'm still your ex-girlfriend to you. So now instead, you're hurting me. So now what you've decided to do is go have sex with the whole world.
Hurt people.
I understand that, and that's my point.
Right.
And you're proving my point. So why not deal with it when it's there? So if somebody has hurt your feelings, what is your way of coping with that?
I'm not emotionally intelligent enough to realize that at that point.
So don't you
hold on, listen. I'm talking to you in hindsight now is 2020. I can look back and say what I did at that point was not right. Or I was hurt and I didn't handle it. But at the time I didn't know that. It's one thing to be aware that you're distracting yourself. It's another thing to understand the circumstances around why you're distracting yourself. Like, I know I'm distracting myself, but I don't know why I'm actually doing it. Maybe because I don't want to face the fact that, okay, you know what? I'm not as confident as I thought, or I didn't make as much money as I really thought I was making, or maybe she just didn't even like me. I didn't know that.
Right. So how do you get to a higher level of self-consciousness? Because now there's
weed.
Yes.